Hi, Robin, and to all of you that are listening to this. So we've been having dozens of conversations in real time and virtually on the internet with our various communities about this regeneration initiative that we're launching. And we are hearing some of the same questions over and over again. Really, why are we doing this? What does the regeneration platform do? Is it something that is actually going to help me? So we're going to chat today a little bit more about it, sort of the why, the who, and the what of regeneration. So Robin, you want to start with this? We keep coming back to this visual over and over again, trying to unpack it and explain how we get to action from this very wonderful but complex model. Tell us a little bit about this.
All right, certainly. And well, essentially, why regeneration is an answer to what the world needs now. And we're all, I think the people we've been speaking to certainly are all keen to go into action or are already in action, but not sure whether they're having the impact that they set out to achieve in the beginning, and or want to recalibrate where they're at and what's possible basically for them, yeah, in a variety of contexts at many levels of scale. So just to introduce the model of regeneration and how we got to this point, the fundamental issue is really one of this eightfold diagram. And it starts with sustainability. We're all well aware that we need balance in the biosphere, especially regarding greenhouse gases, water, and all sorts of other things being driven by global overheating. And there are thousands, if not tens or hundreds of thousands of people involved in doing something about this. So you might be one of those, and that's fine. If that's what you just want to focus on, great. But for most people, it's a little confusing how to track a journey through from where they are to where we'd like to be at 1.5C. The second issue is human health and the well-being of all living systems on the planet, and issues such as healthy food, physical, emotional, mental well-being, and so on, deteriorating across the planet as we speak. Lots of initiatives, again, to do things about that, but how do we get involved? How do we understand the relationship between this and sustainability and everything else? Thirdly, there's a massive amount of quite disruptive innovation, good innovation going on that is creating a regenerative economy, slowly but surely, pockets of the future and the present right now. And we don't know enough about those. And quite frankly, there are so many thousands of good initiatives that we've basically studied and are available for those who join this program to look at and understand what they might do in a similar way. Fourthly, there's a real breakdown in community around the planet, and we see that in so many different metrics. And this issue of how do we build harmonious communities, how do we generate trust and openness in our affairs, not a simple thing to do, and rather critical for anything to be progressed in any of the other areas. Next, we have this basic question of ethics and the rampant individualism that seems to be spreading around the planet. It seems that the first principle of Zen Buddhism has become every man and woman for themselves. However, we know that we need to build people, youth especially, with the character and the values that include integrity and transparency if we're to have a chance of making this work. Then next, we have the issue of accessibility to finance and money. And for a lot of people, particularly not just in the global south, but some in the global north, we're seeing there's a kind of elitism around sustainability, and there's an elitism around all the NGOs and organizations that are doing something. We want to make sure that everybody can get involved at all levels of scale. Next, we have the issue of doing no harm. And the key part of that is that we're in the sixth mass extinction. We're harming biodiversity. We have plastic, air pollution, water pollution all around us, a world economy moving towards eating more meat, not less meat, and all those issues. So how do we deal with that? While fostering equal opportunity, because we have massive wealth inequalities, both within the global north and global south and between them. And we need freer, fairer markets that give everybody a shot at participating. So we have these 8 critical things the world needs now, but how can we simplify this to take right action? Well, that's what we developed the regeneration model and the rest of what we'll talk about today for. So it's really about navigating complexity, Anne. That's the key. It's about knowing what right action looks like, what good looks like in a very complex world, and reducing it to a level of simplicity where we can actually do the right thing. And, it's made more difficult because the words sustainable and regenerative have been infinitely corrupted by many, many different people around the world to mean whatever they want it to mean. And that's why we need now to accelerate the regenerative innovation, to take action, rather than just talk about frameworks and thousands of books on the topic and so on. And most importantly is, how do we know we're doing the right thing? And that's really about, how can you and I measure our impact in a reliable way? Where do we go for that? Well, the answer is, you're not going to find any simple answers. You'll just confuse yourself quite radically in the process. So the regeneration model synthesizes a complex web of many different things: goals like the SDGs, critical transitions, stocks like multi-capitals that are included in many of the sustainability standards like the International Sustainable Standards Board, and the Global Reporting Initiative, the EU metrics, and so on. And then the 8 capitals that are embodied in those 8 elements of the regeneration model, the SDGs, of course, and how do they fit into this grand scheme, and the 15 critical transitions that would lead us to what the world needs now. And what we've done is we've basically, through more than a decade of research and conferences and convening multiple events, synthesized 8 core zones out of this to help you strategize, lead, design, and measure how you can make a living and make a difference and do well by doing good, whether you're in business, whether you're in a community, whether you're actually part of one of these larger organizations that are making a difference, but maybe want some clarity about how you're doing and want to do it, make it easier for people in the organization. And this applies at all scales. Without going into details here, it's obvious that it's all interconnected. And the question is, so what can I do at what scale now? Anne, over to you for a...
Yeah, so I just want to summarize what I'm taking away again from this conversation. Without a tool like the Regenovation platform, figuring out even where to start or what piece of all of that is mine is really hard to do. And I think too many of us spend time wheel spinning and not knowing what is ours to do. So my big takeaway, what I'm most excited about, is this will help anyone who's interested in doing this work at whatever scale, whether it's a small business, a nonprofit, a community organizing initiative. They can develop and implement a strategy using this tool, knowing where to start and knowing how to move forward with some really tangible steps that have been proven, right? Isn't that basically it?
That is. And so we've talked about the model and its applicability at all scales, and that makes it sound like a one-size-fits-all tool, which it could be. But actually what we've done is we've taken that model, and then we've made it easy to apply in all of the different situations we've mentioned and scales through a program, a platform which underpins the information we're gathering and learning, what the learning process reveals as we go through the process. So let's talk a bit about that. And we call it the regeneration journey. And so you are exactly right. Where do I start? Where does the journey begin? And there's some diagnostics we use to help clarify that in a kind of dialectical fashion in the workshops. Secondly, we bring to bear 8 very sophisticated but simply applied tools that help us guide our way on the journey. And then we apply equally some fundamental principles to ensure it works, right? Because these things can fall over, as we all know, at many different stages of the game. So the fundamental idea is that we need to reflect on our strategy first. And by strategy, I mean our whole approach, from a personal approach, why I'm doing this, why I'm doing this with these people to achieve these ends, these purposes, and what the game board, what the arena we're operating in looks like, and how we might improve our positioning in that so that we can be more effective, make a greater impact. But of course, strategy needs leadership that can enable the people involved in this journey at all scales to align with the purpose, to contribute their best to make it work, yeah, and to understand their role in it and how they can add something in a synergistic way to the journey. And once you have that in place, you can then effectively design, whether it's an organization and a set of processes, or a network and a program or a movement or an initiative in that network, you can design the appropriate way of doing this. And that includes issues of culture, it includes issues of also developing the people that are part of the process so that they can be not only more effective, but also live better lives, yeah? So this is a learning process for the individuals and a development process for them, as well as for the collective, that whatever that is we're aiming to enact and deliver the impact we need. And so in the middle of all of this is the regeneration model, which keeps us on track, keeps us honest. It also reminds us of the cross impacts between all of the different ingredients here. And then to simplify what is a deeper and a 10 session, 2-hour session workshops process in a nutshell, we start with asking people what are their top 3 priorities and get them to focus in on their purpose very specifically. What does this mean? What it means? Who needs to belong to this and make it happen? And then once we've understood that and strategized a bit, we then look at how they're leading. Yeah, how are you leading yourself and others in this process and aligning them to deliver what we need to deliver? And then that gives us some design goals, which we can embed in the processes we use to deliver whatever it is we're doing to deliver our purpose, make it happen, and do it in the most effective, streamlined, and meaningful and developmental way, rather than simply, reusing what we might call the old system, yeah, just to knock it into shape. We learn how to develop this new system. Some people call Game B or whatever you want to call it. It's a different model of how we work together. And then finally, we have the most important part yet, because unless we know we're actually achieving a specific impact and using the regeneration model to measure that, yeah, we are unable to say, hey, this is great, we've gone the right path. So if we're not on the right path, we need to make course corrections. And this process enables us to do that. And we start again. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's an
Yeah.
ongoing cycle at all scales to make the right thing happen. And the beauty of it is that it enables you as a participant to engage with not only yourself and your own work, that enables you to achieve deeper accelerated transformation in yourself and others. You can add greater value to all of those different circles of belonging at all scales that you operate at using the toolkit. That allows strategy, leadership, design, and metrics in that process we've just described to actually be activated in your own life, work, and circles of belonging, and deliver the kind of transformational impact in yourself and your work that may have seemed impossible before. And we're doing this from a deep base of lived experience, many, many case studies and programs that have been integrated into all of this to make it work. So we invite you to join us, be part of the process, learn about the model, learn how to apply it as an accelerated innovation process, and learn the toolkit. We invite you to also be part of our platform where we capture a lot of information. Your information, by the way, is kept private, but we use it in a general sense to help guide people's journeys with some AI. And we then also invite you, if this is appropriate for you right now, to become a licensed practitioner and apply this in real life. And that, that is awarded with a diploma. And finally, this enables you, and as part of our Regenovation community, to work with others to make the impact you desire and they desire, and to close that loop about what the world needs now. And so that's really it. And finally, if you're interested, we're running an introduction to all of this on the 1st of May at the Regenovation site, and the web address is down there on the bottom right-hand side. And thank you very much for listening, and thanks for being a great colleague in this endeavor and asking the right questions.
Yeah, I want to just toss in a couple more points. You've alluded to them, but I guess two things. The whole purpose of the platform and spreading it out into the world is to make this easier, to help people figure out how to get started and then use the tested approaches to move around that circle, which is essentially a process of iterative rapid prototyping, learning from this database that captures the best of 34,000 industry leaders across virtually all the sectors. So we've got the data that you can learn from to figure out where to start and then launch your own journey supported by the tools. Isn't that sort of basically what?
That's absolutely right. I mean, the program and the whole regeneration model and process is based on, I guess, several lifetimes of experience of people who are good at doing this, A, and B, bringing people together, collective genius, yeah? So we learn from each other, but we also learn from what's been done by thousands of others, tens of thousands of others. And we can pinpoint with great accuracy in your situation what might be some of the role models, opportunities, next steps. That's really key. This is not a generalized program that you'll end up with wondering, what to do next. You will not only know what to do, you will be doing it.
Yeah. So consummately practical.
Yeah.
That's really what it's about.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. The whole focus is on getting things done and doing the right things.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right.
right.
Take care, and I hope the folks watching hope to see some of you on the 1st of May.
Sounds good. Thanks.